Hi everyone, my name is Natasha. You're on my YouTube channel, and today we have a very deep, involving interview. I talked to Maria, who lives in Lviv, Ukraine, and she tells very personal stories about how people experience their lives amid war. And before we start, I just wanted to mention how I met Maria. I met her when I was volunteering for an organization called Experiencingthe, and not many people actually that I talk about know about them. Their mission is to connect Ukrainians with volunteers who will teach them English for free. But it's also a great opportunity for cultural exchange, for meeting people and building connections across the world. I know Engin will appreciate volunteering from everyone starting the age of 13. They also take donations, and if you're Ukrainian, you can get free English lessons from them. Now let's start with the interview. Hi, Maria. Nice to see you.
Hi, Natalia.
Cool. Can you tell me about yourself and tell us what you did before the war, what your life was like, where you were born, where you studied, etc.
Yeah, okay. As you can see, my name is Maria. I'm 26 years old, and I was born in a really small town, small village, I would say, in west part of Ukraine. It calls Pavlivka. And I had been living there for 5 years, I guess. And then my parents just bought flat in nearest city. So we moved there, and I'm still I've been living there till the university. All these years, up to 16 years, I've been here. I've been living in Ivanichi, this closest town, with my parents. I go to regular school and do some sport activities I really like and enjoy them. And even right now, I continue doing them. I'm talking about volleyball and other sport activities because when I was at school, I also took part in different competitions, like different sport activities. So yeah, I was a bit like super active, but at the same time, I like studying. So yeah, such like a good girl at that time. There was no problem for my parents. After that, I just entered in the university in Lviv city. I decided this city because it was really close to my hometown. It's like about 200 kilometers to my home. So it was nice for me because I understood that there was a possibility just to me to go home and spend some time with my parents and family. And I spent there like for 4 years. So I got bachelor degree in Lviv. And then I also enrolled in some education program. So it just helped me to study in two different universities. One university, it was Lviv University one, and another one was in Krakov. So master degree I got in Krakow and Lviv simultaneously. That experience was really valuable for me because it just helped me when the war started. But anyway, at that time, I just learned Polish language a bit. At the same time, I just understood how to live there. I understood even how to commute to different places and just like city.
Yeah, and you lived in Krakow during your master's, right?
Yeah, like for 1 year. And after that, I moved to Ukraine again because the COVID started. And that was the reason why I just returned. Because I also got plans, had plans to stay there and maybe just to find a job. Because I understood that job in Poland just could bring higher salary, and I just can make more than in Ukraine. So that was a plan, but it failed because of the coronavirus.
I see.
Yeah. And when I returned to Ukraine, there was a moment when I just stayed home and was studying. But I understood that like I was 21 years old, and I'm just like, okay, I want to make my own money. I don't want to be like some burden for my parents. So I just was looking for some job, and then there was another reason, not reason, but like I just decided to find some job according to my specialty. My specialty is accounting and auditing. So I thought, oh, okay, maybe I just try to be accountant because like I have education, so it would be easier for me. And like anyway, I got knowledge about this profession, so I found a job related to accounting, and it was really nice. It was really close to my dormitory. At that moment I lived in dormitory, so I had been working there for more than 2 years. Yeah. And that was some IT company, and I'm really glad because right now I switched to another profession, and right now I work as a quality assurance specialist. So it was just like some push for me to switch to something that I really like.
Cool. Yeah. So you lived in Lviv then, right? The company was in Lviv.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then that was the year.
It was a small wave company. Like they had oh my god, 200 people um,
Mhm.
2 years ago. But right now, because of the crisis, because of the war and etc., I heard that the situation a bit worse.
Oh, so actually can you talk a bit about that? We hear that some companies really struggle with war, right? Uh,
Oh yeah.
like what happens? Like why exactly do they struggle?
Firstly, as I know, that IT companies were blooming for a long period of time in Ukraine. IT market in Ukraine was really booming one, but because of the coronavirus, there was some restrictions, and some clients may also lose some money. And that was the reason why they quit the cooperation with IT companies from Ukraine. And another wave was when the war happened. Because firstly, like a lot of clients helped Ukrainian companies because of the war, but then they try just to find another teams from different countries, because here there are a lot of attacks. Also, we got some problems with electricity. There are like blackouts for a few hours, and it every time it just interrupt the work. Do not know what to expect for another day. So yeah, right now a lot of companies in Ukraine got problems, and even my current company, I know that they cooperate uh, with some Russian clients. Even they leave country, they cooperate with them because they do not have a choice, and
I
they
see.
just can cover the expenses, so they continue cooperate with.
Right. Okay. So before the war, basically, these were international clients who outsourced like part of their IT services to Ukraine. And with the war, with this unstable
Ah,
situation, they just decide to outsource somewhere else, right?
yep. And by the way, there was also some clients from Russia, and from like reasonable reasons, they just should quit. At least I told you about companies that I know. They just decided not to cooperate with them anymore. So
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, that's really sad. Like how vastly the war influences like all different aspects of life, including economy as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's get back to this pre-war time. So you were working as an accountant to this IT company, right? You were in Lviv. Yeah, tell me how you felt during this pre-war month. Did you believe the war can happen? Did you have plans what to do if it happens? And how you felt?
Before the war, I felt terrible. Seriously, I just read news. I saw, firstly, that was a bit calmer when I saw Ukrainian news. But then I found out, okay, I need to read some international media. And then I found out that, oh my God, that's really gonna happen. And I just remember how stressful I was after New Year. I remember that I just returned from work and was reading all this media, international one, and I was just crying because I saw how much weapon were accumulated around Ukrainian border. I heard about all of these hospitals that was set around border, and I'm just like, it's gonna happen. I just have no idea when. And I got really clever mom. Seriously, she's super smart. And a few months before the war, my mom was super anxious about this war. And she told me every time, like, you need to accumulate, not to accumulate, to gather some necessary things that you need to have when the war happened. And I'm just super enthusiastic. A few months I wasted them because I was in all this belief that it's gonna happen. How? Like, I spend my time with friends. I haven't seen all this news, and it was just out of my information field.
You try to
But
separate yourself from
yeah,
all this anxiety, right?
yeah,
That makes perfect sense.
seriously, it was so easy. But then I found out that super it's super hard, but I need to believe that it will happen. So I try to buy some necessary thing that I need. Here in Ukraine, we call it emergency.
Yeah, it's how it's called everywhere. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And I just remember that the day when I decided, okay, the war happened on 22nd of February, and it was
Port?
Thursday. Oh, sorry, 24th of February, and that was Thursday.
Mm.
And at that time, on Wednesday, I just stay at my friend's home. So I went there, and when I just wake up, firstly on Wednesday, I decided, okay, tomorrow I should gather everything and be ready for 100%. But at that time, I just stay at her home, and when I woke up, I just I was sure 100% that the war happened because I saw on my phone a lot of notification, a lot of phones, a lot of messages from my friends, my parents. They couldn't call me early because I got this sleep mode. And when I saw it, I was just shocked, and I knew that that happened. So
But there was no bombings in Lviv, right?
no,
So
no,
you
no.
did not wake up when the war
That
started.
that was really calm the day. The only thing that I remember that there was some sounds outside. So I decided just to open the door, to open the window, and I saw and I heard the air alarm. That was the first time when I heard it.
I see.
Yeah. And then I decided to go to the supermarket and to buy some products, some necessary things, like. And I remember that I was like standing in the line because there was a lot of people who also decided to buy some products at the last moment. And I'm just remember that my mom called me and told me that you should go home. And that's the moment when I'm just like, oh, sorry, I forgot. Because I also made a promise to my mom that when the war started, I should go like to Poland. But there was another, let's say, checkpoint that firstly I go home, and then from home I go to Poland because my home is really close to Poland. Like it's 30 kilometers from my home.
Oh, I
Not
see.
30. Yeah, 30. 30 kilometers. And I'm just like, oh, definitely, I should go home. And that was the moment when my friends also called me and told me that we are going to our hometown. Are you going with us? And I said, yeah. So I leave all these products at the supermarket and just go home, gather some necessary things, and go to my hometown to parents. And I also remember how undecisive I was at the time because, like, I was, all these different reactions to some emergency situations. When you can fight, can be frozen. In my case, I was really frozen because everything that I could do, it was just sleep. I could only sleep, and when I go home, like my dad told me that we should go to Poland. But by the way, there was also very huge lines of people who were standing in the border and waiting the queue. That was super stressful at the time. And I just asked my dad that, I need just time to sleep. So I was sleeping then like for 20 hours. I don't know why so long. I have no idea, but I was so terrified that I was sleeping 20 hours. And when I woke up, that was too late for my family to cross the border because on the next day, maybe on the next day of the war, Ukrainian government decided not to cancel entrance of men from the age 18 up to 60. So my dad, who had 52 years, was not allowed to cross the border. And that was super stressful for me when I found out that, because like I understood that if I wouldn't sleep, he could cross the border and everything would be fine. And then my parents told me that you should go alone. My mom decided not to leave my dad alone here. By the way, at the same time, it was hard for us because my dad was at hospital at the time. He got a coronavirus. He had a coronavirus and was in really bad condition. But because of the war, he decided to go home, and he gave me a ride to the border. And I was like going through all these cars, and I was looking for an empty seat. There was no possibility to cross by foot. There was only a possibility by car. So I should find some empty seat in a car. Thanks God I found it. That was a bus really close to the border. So it was super helpful because I haven't been waiting for so long. Like it took me like 6 hours to cross border, maybe like that.
Oh my God,
And
6 hours is not long, right? Like how much did people wait then?
I don't know, maybe 4 days,
Mm-hmm.
like 1 day, 2 days. That was because seriously, the line of cars was so long. I have never seen such line before.
Wow.
Yeah, and that time, like when I found a seat, yeah, in a bus, there was only women and small children. So I really remember when I was sitting in my car in this bus, and all these children were super loud. They were crying all the time, and all their mothers also, they're like, they just didn't have possibility just to calm them down. And yeah, that was nervous night. And when I crossed the border, the bus driver allowed me to only to cross a border. So I just happened in a near city, like in a Poland, in the city that really near to this Ukrainian Poland border.
Mm-hmm.
That was, as I remember, 2 a.m. or something like that. That was just a night, and I was two backpacks and alone. That was super super scary because because I have no idea. I had no idea at that time how to go to Krakow.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and by the way, I haven't mentioned why I'm going to Krakow, because my dad somehow find some information, not information, just found uh, w- a man who just was willing to give me some shelter and allow me to live with him because of the war.
Oh, he was a stranger? He was not your
Yeah,
friend?
no, no, no.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've seen him for the first time, and but this person, he was a relative of a woman. uh, anyway, I just want to say is that it was a stranger for me. I had no idea about him before the war.
Mm, I
Uh,
see.
yeah, bec- uh, my dad just found him because of some connections that he got. So and thanks God is that he just allowed me to be there for 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 some period of time. Uh, but when I return back to this Poland situation, that was night, and thanks God is that my mom somehow found that her friend, some acquaintance of her, also she was also crossing a border with her mom and a child. So they allow me, they also give me a ride to Krakow. And I was super glad because I just remember when I was standing there, it was winter, it was really cold. I was waiting for them. I have no idea how their car looks because my mom just told me that I do not remember, but um, like I just remember that I had limited information about them. Every car that go to that place where I've been, it was just around the supermarket. I was every car that come to this supermarket, I was asking, are you Yulia? Uh, maybe I guess that the name of this person, that girl, acquaintance of my mom, that was Yulia. And I was just like, are you Yulia? Are you going to Krakow? So, and after some attempt, I found her. So that was like we spending some time on the parking slot, waiting. Just we were sleeping for a few hours, and then we go to the Krakow.
Oh my God. So you were standing at night in winter in Krakow,
Yep.
like just
Yeah.
waiting for
All
some
alone.
person that you don't know how they look like, etc.
Yeah.
Wow.
And as I remember, she also she wasn't a super experienced driver. She just gathered all things of her child, and child was like a few months. She moved from Kyiv. It was the first time when she moved from Kyiv to her hometown here around my like to my hometown. It was also her hometown, and then they continue without her husband. Her husband should stay in Ukraine, and she was driving to Krakow that day.
I
Mm,
see.
But thanks God, she got a friend. She got a sister. So as I know, she flew to her to
Mhm.
Australia, and
To
right now,
Australia. Wow.
yeah, to Australia, and right now, they are living together. And
I
everything's fine
see.
for her because like there was period of time when I was just like asking her, maybe you need some help, because I understood is that she was also without work with a small child. So yeah. But right now everything's fine for her. I heard that she got a really cool job there, so
Hmm.
she even more satisfied than she was here in Ukraine in Kyiv.
Okay. Yeah, but it's heartbreaking that like families have to separate, right? Her
Yeah.
husband still is in Ukraine, right? Like nobody can
Hmm.
leave still. Okay. So you got to Krakow with all
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
stories on
I
your
got.
way.
I got to Krakow. This person, his name Simon.
Mhm.
And even up to this day, we are like communicating. Can say on a daily basis, but from time to time, we just messaging to each other. And I had been living there with him for 3 months, I guess. And I'm super grateful for everything, because he helped me with some clothes. I hadn't I didn't have some, you know, uh, some necessary clothes. But for the first time, he helped me, and also helped all his family, even some his relatives from the US also sent me some money. So
Oh,
yeah, everything. I was I was super like grateful for everything. But uh, when I was there, uh, I got also possibility. I had a possibility to work. I work remotely that time because thanks God my family continue working. We only got some a few days when there was like a bit like there was a lot of rescheduling things, and maybe some shorter days, some shorter working hours. But anyway, I had been working there, and everyone uh, like got their jobs. And even I remember that in a few days we got our salaries for the next month,
mm.
because our company understood is that right now like a lot of employees just flee from Ukraine, and they need maybe some extra money. So yeah, my company at that time just pay in advance.
That's very nice of them.
Yeah.
And they have struggled themselves, right? But still, they were helping employees.
You know, first days, there were some clients who also decided to pay their bills in advance.
Ah, okay.
So that was the reason why they decided to pay in advance to all their employees.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it happened because of the help of other clients.
I see. Yeah, I remember that time, like being in the US, and I remember this, like how people were shocked, like everyone was shocked.
Mm,
Like a lot of people heard about Ukraine for the first time, but still uh, they were terrified that something like that can happen in Europe. And I remember like all of my colleagues who did not know anything about Ukraine were constantly asking questions. They were asking how to donate, they were asking how they can help. And there were a lot of opportunities. Like for instance, Amazon was uh, matching employees donations back then. Now
mm-hmm,
they don't do that anymore. And yeah, I remember those first days. It was so shocking for everyone that everyone wanted to do something.
yeah.
And
Oh,
it's very sad that it's not like that anymore. But yeah, that time I understand why international clients like wanted to do at least something, like for instance, by paying their bills earlier.
mhm. I even remember when I saw all of these flats in Ukraine that you can rent, and they were booked by some foreign clients because they just want to pay some money for the rent they would never use.
I
So yeah,
see. Okay, so you said you spent 3 months in Krakow, right?
yeah.
What motivated you to come back, and when did you decide it, and why?
Firstly, it was really hard for me to stay there alone anyway, and I know that like my parents in Ukraine, every time I was monitoring all of this media and different channels, and I saw that some attack happened, and when the attack happened, some near my hometown, I was like every time calling my mom and asking how she is. Uh, and I don't know. After 3 months, I found out that it's not so terrifying to be in the west part of Ukraine. There wasn't so much attack how it happens in the east part or in central Ukraine, especially in Kiev. So I decided go to them. Um, And there was another maybe thing that I continue working on this Lviv company, and also I had all my friends who stayed in Lviv. So
Mhm.
that also was the reason why I decided to get back.
Okay, and
Uh,
like, how did you feel when you get back? Like, how Ukraine changed? Like, what did you notice?
um, when I get back, maybe that was the second time when I heard air alarm, and that was super scary. I remember that I was sitting in the kitchen, and we were speaking with my parents, and I heard this air alarm, and I just said, "Oh, okay, we should go to the shelter." But my parents like, "No, everything's fine. They just uh, they just were ignoring it, you know,
Mm,
without no attention." And I was sitting like shocked. Why you are not doing anything? Like why are you sitting,
yeah.
or why are you continue eating, or or other things? So after this alarm, I found out that that people who stayed they're just so calm about air alarm attacks because they live in small towns. There were no explosions. There was only one explosion in 40 kilometers uh, from our home, and that happened on the second or like in first days of the war, and that's
Mm-hmm.
all. And
I see.
that explosion, it was just a military object that we got, and that was like the one military object that we have really close to our hometown.
I see. So it was a kind of safe place, right?
Yeah,
The small town where your parents lived. Okay.
yeah. So a few months, uh, I had been living in my hometown, but then I also understood that, I'm just getting tired because of all of the things, and I really want to see my friends. I want to go to the office to see my colleagues. So then I decided that I want to move to Lviv.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was super negative about this. Like, she tried to, mm, to persuade me to stay here because it's just safer. But I was 100% sure that it would be fine to stay in Lviv, to live there again. And when I get back, everything was fine for a few months. Uh, but then some attacks happened, and as I remember, it was in October. In October, maybe 12th of October, that a lot of energy infrastructure were damaged. And
Yeah.
I remember all of these explosions. I remember how my flat were shaking. Um, I remember that uh, it was too scary. Uh,
And you were at home when your flat
yeah,
was shaking, right?
I were at home, and the problem was that I was at home alone because when there
Oh.
is someone's around you, it's just like easier because you can
Mm-hmm.
share all of this stress, all of this fright. But after this attack, I decided to go home again. But there was one place that I also wanted to visit, and I go to the office first. I saw all my colleagues, and it was easier because I saw how calm they were. I also share with all of my emotions that I was too scared because of this attack, and they're like, yeah, and this is fine. We also were scared, and this conversation just helped me, and I just remember calmer uh, how calmer I felt after this conversation. So then I take all my packages and all my things again and get back to my home, to my flat.
Wow. Okay, but
Mm.
tell more about that attack. Like, why you were at home? There was no air alarm, or it was too quick?
Um, as you remember, there was air alarm, but I was just ignoring it.
Mm.
I decided that nothing special, like everything would be fine, and I just continue working. But
Oh, it
then,
was during daytime.
yeah, that was during daytime. I just remember that when I firstly heard how the rocket were flying,
Yeah.
uh, and then I decided to go to the corridor because
Mm-hmm.
it's safe here there. And I was sitting there waiting till the end. Uh, And when everything was finished, there was no electricity for everyone. There was the first blackout in Ukraine.
Yeah.
So even that was the reason why I go to the office, because I couldn't continue to work from home, because no electricity, no internet connection. And yeah.
And you use some Telegram channels, right, to monitor like the direction of those rockets,
Yeah.
etc. Tell about it, like how you decide, like when you go to the shelter, when you don't go to the shelter.
Firstly, I have a lot of all these monitoring channels, and I just read all this information and see how close the rocket or some Shahed drones might be to the Lviv. Because if I would go to the shelter every time, it's just exhausted. Like we can spend there for a few hours. And at the same time, you need to do your job, because you need to get salary, and you just need to make money and to continue living there. So we ignore some air alarms, because we understood that it would be fine here, like at least in this region. Mm, uh,
But how frequent
Usually,
are they?
I
Yeah, go
can
ahead.
say I can say right now, as I notice, every time, every holidays, we got attacks. Like for example, on Christmas, on Easter, every every holiday. Like
Yeah.
I even know that we are going to celebrate New Year, like New Year Eve. It's gonna be attack. And I really hope that everything will be fine in Lviv, at least. Like, no, not at least. I really hope that everything will be fine, like in whole Ukraine. But as I can see, like all attacks usually happen in some west or east part of Ukraine, or they just targeting Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine.
Right.
So
And what about air alarms? They are super frequent, right? Like you say that you won't be able to work normally if you go to shelter each time there is an air alarm.
yeah, I not I see that, like for example, in summer, it was a longer period time between attacks. But right now, when it is colder, the attacks are getting more frequent, because
Okay.
they try just to totally destroy electrical infrastructure in in Ukraine. So yeah, I even heard that there is some possibility that maybe east part of Ukraine might be blackout without no electricity for, I don't know for how long, if next attack, are gonna be successful, because there are no how to say, workable infrastructure there.
Yeah. Yeah. And they basically want to repeat this like 2020 to 2023 winter blackouts when like the whole of
Yeah,
Ukraine suffered for like the whole of winter. Now
yeah,
they don't fully manage to do it because of because of the because of how Ukrainian electricity adapted, like how fast they maintain it, how fast they fix like what was destroyed. Also, there were some imports and stuff, but
yeah, yeah. Like, when I see how they repeat all these infrastructures, like energy infrastructure, I mean, I'm super glad, and I'm grateful that we have such people. But I also understood that each time, each attack, we are just like minus one infrastructure, another infrastructure object, and sometimes like I just guess that maybe another part of the winter, like in 2025, might be with some blackouts in all Ukraine, because one more attack and that might be harder.
That's heartbreaking. Yeah, that's heartbreaking
Yeah.
that you live in this constant fear of like what happens next, and
Yeah.
that like
You
maybe
know, firstly, like first year of the war, there was attack during the day. And it was easier because at least you are conscious, you know what to do, you can go to the shelter, except that you are that you should work. After that attack, you should catching up with all this work and tasks. But anyway, it was fine at the time. But on the next year of the war, like on the second year of the war, the attack happened during the night when we were sleeping, and that continued to do that.
that continues now. Yeah.
Yeah, that continues now. And you know, when I hear all of these air alarms during the night, it's stressful because firstly, every time, every minute, you need to monitor. Then if you see that it's really close to your region, you should go to the shelters, especially if that like, because according to the statistics, it's much easier to catch maybe to catch this Shahed drones by air defenders. They can catch it easier, all these drones.
Mm-hmm.
But if we are talking about rockets, it's much harder. So when we see that it's just some kind of rocket, me and my friends are going to shelter and waiting there till the end. Yeah. So, and after that, you should go to the office, continue working, to be like conscious and smiling, and to be productive during the day. But when you sleep for a few hours only during the night, it just, harder do.
Yeah, makes sense. And as far as I see, it's usually a couple of those attacks per week.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not one night that you don't sleep during the week. It's like a number of nights.
Yeah.
And then probably your sleep routine gets disrupted.
Yeah, for sure. And also it happens like it might happen like in some days, in a few days, for example, after one attack. But sometimes it even happens when you got air alarm, for example, at 3, 4 a.m. for a few hours, like for 3 hours usually. And then you got 1 or 2 hours to relax. And after that, you got next air alarm. And that's time when you feel so miserable and hate everything in this world because it's just like another few hours that you should spend in the shelter. And you have no idea what they are going to target. It's going to be like energy infrastructure, or they decided to shell or just to target some civil infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. And it still happens, and it's still quite frequent. And I remember, like it breaks my heart each time you said that, oh, like there was quite long period without air alarm, so now we expect one. And this fact that you expect one is also a traumatic experience.
It's so anxious. I even know that I got some dreams about all of these explosions, and for example, the last 2 weeks, I just got this nightmare about explosions. And seriously, I have no idea why that happened in my head. But I just woke up so confused and have no idea what to do, because I'm not sure that if that was real that I heard, or it was just a nightmare. So
Oh my God.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like we read about casualties, we read about people who die in those attacks, we read about people who lose relatives in those attacks, but there are so many people around that are not in the news that get this constant trauma. And the more you live in this circumstance, the more traumatic it becomes, basically. That's, yeah, how it starts to impact the whole of your life. That even when it's calm, like you get those nightmares, you get anxious, you expect something bad to happen. Yeah, it's fucked up.
Uh, uh, like I was telling you about this attack in October, but even after that attack, I can say that I continue going to shelter every time. Like I also skip some air alarms and just keep sleeping or just keep working. But the one attack happened on July. That was my dad's birthday, on 6th of July. And that was during the night, as I remember. And the explosion happened really close to my flat.
Mm-hmm.
So I just remember how everything was shaking. I was so stressed because after this explosion, I heard how another rocket also was flying through my window. And at the same time, there was a few drones around my home.
So you saw the rocket flying
Yeah,
from your window. Okay.
yeah. And I just, I was so shocked. And I just woke up all my roommates. And we went to the shelter, standing there. But I remember when we go to the shelter, we're really close. All of these flashes, when air defense works,
Mm-hmm.
they try to catch the target. So I just remember how it was vivid during the night. And after that attack, I wouldn't say, yeah, I have never missed any air alarms. That were air alarms and attack that got missile, because when drones, it's not so scary. I told you the reason. It's just easier to catch. But when there is missile, I'm scared. It's easier for me to go to the shelter.
Right. Yeah. And on top of those attacks, tell about how the life is different in Ukraine now. Like, for instance, I remember in summer you sent me this video of generators everywhere and this insane noise
Yeah.
in the center of Lviv, right, where all small businesses have those generators.
Hi, I just wanna share you something. Yes, it's super loud outside, and right now when we got blackouts, it's just all the sounds of generators, especially if you're living in some new buildings, where the first floor is for some commercial activities, some shops, I don't know, brew bars, whatsoever. And they just buy these generators just to continue working.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it can be super noisy, and I have no idea how people live on the second, third, even fourth floors, because it's so loud. And I don't know, usually even when I just go for a walk with the generators, I just got a headache, because it's too loud.
Yeah.
And at that time, I just tried to avoid such places. For example, city center. It is fine to be there like for a few minutes, but if you continue walking there, like hanging out, that's crazy. You can hear anyone. The only thing that you can hear is only the sound of generators.
Okay. And by the way,
Mm.
at work, you also have this generators, right? To have energy during blackouts.
Mm-hmm.
Is it loud at work as well?
Right now I'm really glad that some some businesses just try to buy. I can call because I just do not remember the type of the generator. But
Hmm.
anyway, they just cover.
Hmm.
They wouldn't be so noisy. And in my office, at office where I work, we got like this calm generators. They're not so loud. I have no idea even where they, because I can hear them.
I see. Okay, so yeah, it's some upgraded stuff that IT
Hmm.
companies can afford, but the
Yeah,
small businesses probably cannot.
yeah. And I also see that when we rent another office, for our company, like we moved to another office, I see that this building, the whole building got a one big generator. So in case of blackouts, they would just turn on that one big, huge generator, and that just allowed to, how to say, to energize, not to energize.
To provide energy.
To provide energy for everyone, like just electricity. So you got a light, you have opportunity that just to charge, just to charge laptops. So and that's all.
Right. Okay. So basically this summer there were quite severe blackouts everywhere. So like your office had the energy all the time?
Yep,
I
all the time.
see. Okay. And another thing that I wanted to ask you about, I am so amused all the time by your, like, you live through the whole stuff, like in a very severe environment, but you were able to do something, right, to help the defenders. So you told that you did some activities in the beginning of the war, and also like you constantly collect donations for the army. Yeah, tell about what you do.
Firstly, when I was in Poland, there was some activities like I helped some other people. I do not remember if I told you, but there were a lot of Ukrainians who just have no they just uh, didn't know Polish at that time, so I helped them to provide some services. And there also were only a few of them. But when I got back to the Ukraine, I had some courage to open some donation jar. It was the first one. It was a small one. Seriously, it was only for 5K hryvnias. But anyway, I was super worried about that because I had no idea how other people, like, if they believe me or not. Like, you need to ask people for their money. But I think how my friends, a lot of them already opened, and they were super satisfied that they managed to gather enough money. So I had a courage to open it, and it was super nice because a lot of people, and you, Natalia, helped me. A lot of people just were reposting my post on the Instagram. They were helping with donations, and I close the jar with 15K.
Instead of 5.
So
Okay. So
instead of
triple.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was so shocked that a lot of people just like they believed me, they helped, and it happened in 8 hours, and I was shocked. Seriously, I was jumping all over in my flat, like because I was super glad that I managed, like, and everyone just helped. So yeah, assemble some drones for Ukrainian defenders, and he first few drones he just was doing on his own, and he spent his own money for that. But then he decided that it's a bit costly. It's a bit expensive for him, so he decided to gather some money, and then uh, to uh, to gather some money to buy details for these drones. So all of my like two of my friends, my boyfriend and I, we also opened jars for 10K, and yeah, in few days we just gather enough money to buy all these details, and my boyfriend right now working on the third drone to assemble these drones. So yeah, he's super like glad that firstly I want to say that I'm proud of him because he learned, and he learned how to assemble all these drones. He took some courses, and after that he just he just do everything's fine. So Ukrainian defenders tried, they were flying and said that everything's fine. We would like to have another one if you have time, for sure, because like my boyfriend also got his own job, so some free time he spent for assembling it. And right now he just like finishing the third drone that we are going to transfer to some to Ukrainian defenders.
Yeah, like I remember I was just astounded when you told me this story,
Yeah,
how he learned how to assemble drones in a month,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
then it flew, and then you send it to the army, and then they test it, and it was all right. And now
yeah,
you like collect money to assemble those drones. It's just
yeah.
like wow.
Mhm. By the way, he also joined some company organization that also assembling, and there are like a group of people who just divided different activities, and they are assembling all these drones. There are like a massive production of it. So
Wow. Yeah,
mm,
like that's super inspiring how people
yeah,
gather together and do some stuff, like how people self-organize to help, like despite they live in all these conditions.
yeah, they're living in all this condition, but it's like the third year of the war,
Hmm.
and I see how all these people are getting tired. They're getting tired, and uh, I also can see that we're maybe sometimes a bit angrier because of this sleep deprivations, because of this air alarms every time. Um, like I understood is that it's really hard not to know what to expect on the next day.
Yeah.
So, for example, when you just leave your child in the kindergarten, and then in a few hours you need to take it back because like it's air alarm, and like I have no idea how to organize some other activity, not know what to expect.
Right. And on this note, yeah, I wanted to ask you the last question. Yeah, probably like what helps you to preserve yourself during this time? Maybe you have rituals, maybe you learn something about yourself during the war, and like something that helps you to preserve hope, like even in the hardest times when you get
I,
tired and when you don't know what to expect.
Firstly, I found out is that I really changed because of this war. I found out that I'm really scary. Because seriously, previously I was like, no, no problem. I would go first. But now I'm super scary, and I see, even when I just, for example, I go to another country and we have a flight. I'm super scared to hear all the sounds of the flights, and I'm just um, I can even shiver in because of some rapid noises, like unexpected noises.
Hmm.
Um, so I say that maybe I'm a bit uh, like I just
You're
say
more
that I
afraid of stuff.
yeah, I'm afraid. Um, what helps me to at least even right now, I see that I wouldn't plan for a long perspective, but at least I try to plan for some short perspective. For example, for a week, um, because even with this all attacks, I see that it's just easier for me when I see how to plan these things, and even if the attack happened, for example, and I need to cancel it, at least I know how to postpone it or reschedule. So I say that it's just easier for me. So I try to write a diary, for example,
Hmm.
every day, and also I try to be grateful and not to waste time for some how to say oh my god, quarrels,
Hmm.
when you are arguing with somebody. And seriously, I just want to decide or organize or just to get well with this person, because I don't want to spend my time and waste for for that arguments. So seriously, I just want to finish them as soon as possible, um, and spend maybe more quality time with my parents. I love them so much. They're so I'm really glad that I have them. Um, and I just remember how hard it was for me just to leave them
Hmm.
when I move to Poland and they stay here. I was I was anxious that they should stay. And even right now, I know that my dad maybe some days are going to defend Ukraine, because right now there's shortage of men. Um, and I don't know. I just want to spend some quality time with them and just remember how happy I am. And another really workable thing for me is that I try quit reading some medias, because
Hmm.
when I see all these things that happens every time, all these casualties, all this shit around, it's so hard. It's so difficult to see how many families were destroyed, how many people were died because of this attack. I don't know. It's heartbreaking for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Maria. That's remarkable. You know, like talking to you, I know you like for more than 2 years now, and we meet pretty frequently. Like we talk, and
Yeah.
when you tell me these stories, like heartbreaking stories about what happens, about how you felt, about how scared you were, about like other people, about like how your neighborhood looks like after another attack, etc. But on the other hand, you continue to live your life. You change jobs.
Yeah.
You, yeah, like you pick up new professions. You speak English like fluently right now versus like when we just met, you were worried, you were like less self-confident, and you grow up like and you continue to develop, and you continue to do remarkable things like collecting money for drones, etc., amid like the worst circumstances anybody can imagine, like living in the war. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank
And
you. Because also I'm really helpful, and maybe I forgot to tell to mention that it's also helpful to share all my thoughts and all my emotions with you. Because maybe sometimes I can share it with my mom or with some other people, because I also know that they are living all around this in this situation, and they also experience it. And I'm super glad that I have you with whom I can share it, and like to speak loudly about all my emotions, because sometimes it's a bit difficult to communicate with people around me, because they also might be too fragile, too tired because of the war.
yeah, and it makes sense. You know, actually, I talked, like when you said that to me first time, I talked to a few people who are abroad, but who have relatives, for instance, in Ukraine, or who volunteer and, like, I don't know, communicate with Ukrainians in some way like that. And it seems that they say like more or less the same thing, that for their relatives or like for those who they work with, uh, sometimes it's hard to talk to others around you because you know that they experience the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes maybe they experiencing worse thing, and
Yeah.
then yeah, like they won't be able to hear you and your feelings at that time.
Yeah.
But
For
those abroad, yeah, like we clearly see from outside how fucked up every single situation there is.
And that was the thing that I just want to say, is that I can say that like I'm so how to say it, like I don't want to say I can say is that this war somehow influenced me, because thanks God all my relatives are around me, and they're at home. But when I told you that, I'm scared, or for example, I'm really tired, but at the same time, I understood that some like 10 kilometers, some other people might die, or some relatives might die, and they feel much worse than I am. And I even have no idea how to tell that, because I understood that that person is just felt like even worse than I am. So that's the situation, and that's why it's so hard to speak about it, because you have no idea what happened to another person, because you know that some other might have her son who's just in the front line and fighting there every time.
And this heartbreaking in itself, like the fact that people uh can't relate to each other in this way, like despite you're experiencing like more or less the same thing, you like in reality the experience is very different.
Yeah,
And yeah, yeah, I really hope like it shall end one day. Like thanks God, like stupid terrorist dictators don't have all the resource in this world, but they have quite a lot.
I
And
really hope.
yeah,
I really hope that all of this forecast about the end of the war in 2025 true, are coming true. Yeah. Hope so.
all right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you too.
That's it for today. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and feel free to share your own stories and experiences or ask any questions in the comments. I will leave Maria's contacts in the description for anyone who wants to see her donation campaigns and follow her activity. And I will see you next week. Thank you and bye.